The story of the Ourang Medan is a perfect storm of maritime horror, mystery, and chilling detail. A ghost ship full of corpses, no clear cause of death, and a final explosion that wiped away all evidence. This one is true nightmare fuel. Hi, welcome to Storyteller. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification button. My name is Daniel Jacks, and this is the Ourang Medan, the ship where everyone died. Smiling, Strait of Malacca, June 1947. The radio operator at the Dutch freighter Silver Star was leaning back in his chair, sipping weak coffee, when the distress call came through. The transmission was garbled, static-heavy, and cutting in and out, but there was no mistaking what he heard. SOS from Ourang Medan. We float. All officers, including the captain, dead in chart room and on the bridge. Possibly whole crew dead. A pause, more static. Then one final line, barely audible. I die. And silence. The Silver Star's crew sprang into action. The Ourang Medan was an unregistered vessel, flagged nowhere. It wasn't on any naval manifest, but the message was clear. A ship was adrift, and everyone on board might be dead. They plotted a course based on signal triangulation and headed out. They had no idea what they were sailing into. It took hours to locate the Ourang Medan, even though the sea that day was flat and glassy. But when the Silver Star finally spotted her, everyone on board went still. The Ourang Medan was drifting, completely lifeless. No smoke, no signal, no signs of movement. Just a black, rust-stained freighter rocking gently in the current. They hailed her. No answer. They signaled again. Still nothing. So a boarding team was sent across. From the moment their boots hit the deck of the Ourang Medan, everything felt wrong. There were no signs of a struggle, no battle damage, no fire. But there were bodies everywhere. The boarding crew found the ship's crew scattered across the decks. Engineers, seamen, officers, all of them dead. Their faces frozen in expressions of horror. Some had eyes wide open, mouths locked in silent screams. Arms were raised, as if fending off something no one else could see. There were no wounds, no blood, no evidence of violence. Below deck, the engine room was just as bad. Bodies slumped over equipment. The ship's dog, a large shepherd, was found stiff, teeth bared, as if snarling at death itself. In the communications room, the radio operator's finger was still on the key, like he had died mid-sentence. And in the chart room, the captain was seated at his desk, dead, his eyes bulging, skin pale and clammy, as if frozen in fear. But here's the thing. No one looked injured, not a single bullet wound, not a scratch, just dead, like their hearts had simply stopped. And every single one had a look of absolute terror. The Silver Star crew had seen death at sea before, but never like this. They decided to tow the Ourang Medan back to port. But then, the ship caught fire. It started in the lower hold, a muffled boom, followed by thick smoke pouring from the vents. The Silver Star crew cut the tow line immediately and retreated. Moments later, the Ourang Medan erupted in a massive explosion, sending metal and debris into the sky. The fireball tore through the hull, and within minutes, the ship sank beneath the waves, vanishing completely. The entire crew, every body, every logbook, every piece of physical evidence was gone. Just like that. The Silver Star filed a report. It was brief, vague. They claimed they had responded to a distress signal from a freighter and found no survivors. The details about the crew's expressions, about the final radio message, left out. So what happened aboard the Ourang Medan? Theories began circulating almost immediately. Toxic gas leak? Some claimed the ship was smuggling wartime chemicals, possibly nitroglycerin or potassium cyanide, and a leak suffocated the crew. But that didn't explain the expressions or the lack of any panic or evacuation attempts. Carbon monoxide poisoning? Another theory, but again, if that were true, the crew wouldn't have frozen in terror. They would have fallen asleep, passed out, not screamed into death with clawed hands and wide eyes. Pirates or raiders? No valuables were taken, no signs of struggle, and no wounds. One bizarre theory suggested the crew had stumbled onto something supernatural, a cursed artifact, or a radio signal that triggered a mass hallucination or psychic trauma. That final message, "I die," didn't help. After the explosion, the Silver Star crew returned to port and filed their official report. But something was off. The ship they claimed to have found, the Ourang Medan, didn't exist. No flag, no registry, no cargo manifest, no insurance papers, no origin, no owner, nothing. Authorities scoured maritime databases. The Dutch claimed no knowledge of a ship by that name. No missing crew were ever reported. No families came forward. It was as if the Ourang Medan had never existed, except for the wreckage, the radio transmission, and the men who saw it with their own eyes. Then things got even weirder. In the early 2000s, a declassified CIA file surfaced. Dated 1952, the report referenced the Ourang Medan incident and included details not previously known to the public. It mentioned the same distress call, all officers including the captain dead. It also mentioned the chilling final message, "I die." And it revealed that U.S. intelligence had investigated the incident under the theory that the ship was carrying chemical weapons left over from World War II, possibly part of a covert Japanese or Nazi transport operation. According to the file, both American and British intelligence had taken an interest in the case, and then seemingly dropped it. Why? No one knows. But buried in that same file was a short note, scribbled in pencil. Investigation halted, no surviving witnesses, no wreckage recovered. Conclusion: too dangerous to pursue further. One of the most commonly accepted explanations is that the Ourang Medan was carrying undocumented illegal chemicals, possibly potassium cyanide, nitroglycerin, or mustard gas, as part of an unregistered black market weapons deal. These were highly volatile. A small temperature shift could ignite them. A leak in the hold could release toxic fumes that kill within minutes, without leaving a mark. That might explain the sudden deaths, but not the expressions, not the twisted limbs, the raised arms, or the look of pure terror on the faces of the dead. People who die of gas exposure don't usually freeze in panic. They go limp. They pass out. So why did the Ourang Medan's crew look like they'd seen the devil? According to second-hand reports, passed down from sailors who spoke to the Silver Star crew in port, there was one more detail that never made it into the official file. In the captain's cabin aboard the Ourang Medan, investigators found a small leather-bound journal. The writing inside was in Dutch and partially burned, but one passage stood out. "They're watching us from the fog. No eyes, but they see. The radios don't work right. Static comes before the cold, always the cold." And then a final line, scrawled in shaking handwriting, "We are not alone on this ship." The journal was never logged in the port manifest. It was reportedly taken by one of the Silver Star crew and vanished. Here's one of the most bizarre pieces of testimony. When the boarding crew first arrived on the Ourang Medan, they reported that the air on the ship felt unnaturally cold. But the Strait of Malacca in June? It's like stepping into a sauna, humid, boiling, oppressive. And yet, the bodies on the ship were described as being ice cold to the touch, not bloated, not decomposing, frozen. One man claimed he saw frost around the edge of a porthole below deck. But that doesn't make sense. Not unless something was actively cooling the ship from the inside, which led to another theory. Some researchers, especially those in fringe communities, believe the Ourang Medan's death spiral had nothing to do with chemicals. They believe the ship may have intercepted or broadcasted a signal, a low-frequency transmission that triggered panic, hallucination, or even cardiac arrest. They point to similar legends, the Russian sleep experiment, number stations that broadcast eerie, coded messages, and shortwave frequencies that can reportedly induce nausea, fear, or even death in some listeners. Could the crew have been testing something or picked up a broadcast they weren't supposed to hear? A signal that killed without leaving a trace? It would explain the frozen terror on their faces. It would explain the final message, "I die." And it might explain why the ship exploded, as if someone wanted to ensure it never broadcast again. After the Silver Star's report was filed, interest in the story faded. Fast. Too fast. Within months, all mentions of the Ourang Medan disappeared from Dutch, British, and American naval records. Surviving members of the Silver Star's crew were reassigned. Some were discharged. The man who first recorded the radio transmission left his job weeks later. No interviews, no press, just silence. It's like someone wanted the story to die, along with the ship. Here's one last possibility, a dark one. Some believe the Ourang Medan was part of a black project, a covert operation testing experimental technology during the chaotic aftermath of World War II. Maybe it was chemical. Maybe it was sonic. Maybe it was something we still don't understand. Whatever it was, something went wrong. The ship was sealed. The crew died. The evidence deliberately destroyed. And all we're left with is a ghost story, passed from sailor to sailor, retold in whispers and fading records. Today, the Strait of Malacca is one of the busiest shipping routes in the world. Thousands of vessels pass through every year. And sometimes, when the fog rolls in just right, radar picks up a phantom blip. A ship with no transponder, no flag, no crew, just drifting. And if you tune into the right radio frequency, some say you can still hear a voice crackling through the static. "Captain dead. Whole crew dead. We float. I die." And then, nothing.